So Lauma, Flins, Yelan, or Nahida. In this video I'll be helping you guys choose which character is right for your account. This is kind of a stacked batch and we have a lot of interesting good characters, and actually they do overlap with each other quite a lot. So I'm pretty sure for a lot of people it's going to be hard to choose between them. In this video I'll just be listing their pros, cons, and where you should get each one of them specifically. Before we continue that though, if you're trying to get any of these characters, I'd recommend checking out LD Shop to get your Genesis crystals. It's a cheap, fast, and secure top-up website where you can get different games currencies including Genshin Impact 20% cheaper or more. Check it out in the link in the description or the pinned comment. Alright, so as I said, we're going to start with each character. We're going to go through them, list their pros and cons, what they do, and then finally we're going to give a conclusion on how should you approach this. First of all, starting off with Flins. Flins is going to be an Electro, new meta, lunar charge DPS. We've seen this mechanic with Inefa already, and then Flins is going to be the main DPS that's going to take full advantage out of this mechanic. Flins is basically just going to be an Electro charge DPS, but it's going to transform the Electro charged reactions to lunar charged reactions. That means they're going to be stronger. So usually you're just going to play him in normal Electro charged teams with enough for you to buff the lunar charge damage, and he's good. For the pros about Flins, it's just gonna be good damage, literally. For a main DPS, this is what you're gonna care about mainly, and his damage is gonna be top tier. It's gonna be like top of A tier to S tier damage, depending on the teams and stuff like that. And it's gonna be comparable to the best DPSs in the game. So I do think he's gonna be a top tier DPS for sure. Definitely not the best, but it's definitely gonna be dealing good amounts of damage, and he's not gonna be power crept anytime soon. The second pro about him is that he's a new meta DPS. That means we're probably going to see more supports for him in the upcoming updates, and that might increase his damage even more, which is pretty good. It's always good to play the new meta. The Abyss is going to be tailored for the new meta and stuff like that, and he's going to be the first DPS that's going to be taking advantage out of that. So he's definitely going to be pretty good for a while, and that's always a good thing. Those are pretty much it for the pros about Flins, and honestly this is what you need from a main DPS. Really, you don't really need much. For his cons, I think the biggest con about him is that he's going to have restricted teams. It's basically just going to be Electro charged teams, technically lunar charge, and that's pretty much it. It cannot really be played in any other teams other than that. And the other con about him is that his teams are going to be pretty expensive, mainly Inefa. That's what I'm talking about here. Inefa is going to be a huge buffer for Flins. She's definitely not like fully necessary for you to play him or anything like that, but she's definitely heavily appreciated. So if you want to play Flins for his full potential, then in that case obviously you'd want to get Inefa, and there's not really many supports who can replace her. So his teams in general are just going to be super restricted, and that's fine for a main DPS, but it's definitely a con. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Flins. There's not much going on. Now, moving on to Lauma. Lauma is basically just going to be a Bloom, Hyper Bloom buffer. She's going to allow those reactions to crit by turning them into Lunar Bloom. She's basically the Inefa of Bloom. And she's just going to be given very good supportive capabilities to all of these reactions. And she's going to be buffing those teams in general pretty well. For pros, it's just that she's a huge Bloom and Hyper Bloom buffer. She's simply just going to be increasing their damage by a lot, allowing them to crit and then scaling based on her elemental mastery. She's going to be giving them a lot more damage to these teams. The second pro about Lauma is that she's going to have a lot of ready teams where you can just plug her in. As I said before, it's mainly just like Bloom teams or Hyper Bloom teams, and we already have a lot of those in the game. So literally you can replace a support in these teams with Lauma, and the team is just going to perform exceptionally well. And that's mainly where you'd want her. If you already have like a good Hyper Bloom or Bloom base in general, you can just get Lauma, and a lot of your teams are just going to be immediately upgraded. She's just going to provide damage and support for all of these teams, and that's going to be pretty good. So I really like this about her a lot. She's mainly a character that you'd want to get as an upgrade for your Dendro teams, like Bloom teams in general, and she's gonna be a ready, easy plug and play character, also very free to play friendly. So yeah, I really like her in this regard a lot, and she's gonna upgrade your Dendro teams by a lot, that's for sure. For her cons, I genuinely don't think she has many cons. The only con I can see about her is that she's not really useful outside of Bloom teams or like Hyper Bloom teams. She's not like a team-wide support character that you can just plug anywhere and stuff like that, but that's fine because that's simply her specialty. I mean, she doesn't need to be like good in every single type of team, and that's very normal, especially for top tier supports in my opinion. So yeah, I honestly don't really see any cons for Lauma, except if you don't need her, then that's not really a con, it's just that you don't need her. But for her job, which is buffing Bloom teams and Hyper Bloom teams, which we already have a lot of these teams and they're good teams, she's definitely gonna do her job perfectly fine, and she's gonna take them to the next level for sure. Now moving on to the other Dendro we have on this banner, which is going to be Nahida. Nahida is just going to be your OG Dendro base. She's going to be the enabler for most of the Hyper Bloom teams or Bloom teams or basically any Dendro team. She's probably going to be a very good option that you can play, if not a necessary option. And a lot of teams, Nahida is going to be very necessary for the team to even function properly. She offers a huge variety of buffs to mainly just Dendro teams, which is pretty good. Her pros is just what I said. Super good Dendro application, good Dendro off-field damage, and then good Dendro team support. And that's basically just what you're gonna need to build any Dendro team. She's gonna be the base. There's not really many Dendro teams where Nahida's not there. So if you want to go to this side of the meta, which is Dendro teams, I definitely would recommend just getting Nahida. For her cons, it's the same thing with Lauma really. She's not good outside of Dendro focused teams, but that's that's very normal. She's not a versatile support that you can use anywhere, even outside of Dendro teams, but in general, you don't really need that for her to be good. She still has a lot of many teams, Dendro teams, that are going to be her own good teams, so she doesn't need to be very versatile and usable in any type of team. It's not even really a con in my opinion. Again, it's just that if you don't want Dendro, then you don't need her, but for her job, which is building Dendro teams around her, she's going to be super good. And then finally we have Yelan on this patch. Yelan is just going to be your outfield Hydro applicator and sub DPS. She's pretty simple really. She's just going to be applicating Hydro when she's off field, and then she's also going to be dealing Hydro damage. Her pros is that she's going to be pretty good in all of these. She's going to apply very good off-field Hydro application and very good off-field damage. One of the best sub DPSs and also one of the best Hydro applicators and supports. Maybe the best Hydro applicator. For her cons for this job specifically, I honestly don't think she has many cons because she does do this job perfectly well, except maybe her energy needs and stuff like that, but that's not really a big con. The only con about Yelan in general, honestly, is Xingqiu in my opinion, or you can say she's replaceable. Xingqiu is going to be doing pretty much the exact same thing, and he's a 4-star. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to have him, especially if you have his high constellations. It's going to be a very good replacement for Yelan, and you don't really need her. Now, their damage is going to be very different. Yelan is going to deal much more damage, but in general, they're not really your main damage dealers in the team anyways. So if you just need her for the Hydro application for you to just enable a team, Xingqiu is going to be enough in most cases, except for the cases where you need to play them together maybe, if you need a huge amount of Hydro. But other than that, really, I think Xingqiu is going to be enough in most teams, and you don't really need Yelan, and that's going to undermine her value for me, honestly. So unless you need 2 teams where they both need a Hydro applicator, or you need 2 Hydro applicators at the same team, honestly, I don't think Yelan is necessary, and you can definitely just get by with Xingqiu. Alright, now for the final conclusion, who should you get out of these characters? So I'm gonna split it into this. If you need a main DPS, then you could go for Flins. Flins is gonna be a good main DPS, as I said before. It's gonna be dealing very good amounts of damage, and he's gonna be in the meta for a while. The meta is gonna be around his type in general right now, so if you need to pick up a main DPS, then you can definitely do that with Flins. Just make sure you have some of his good teammates, preferably if you had Inefa, that's gonna be much better, but even if not, he's gonna be a decent main DPS for sure. So if you like him, you don't mind him, and you also want a main DPS, then I guess go for Flins. If you need a Hydro applicator, then obviously Yelan is going to be a good option. Again, as I said, you don't really need her in a lot of teams because Xingqiu is going to be able to do the job fine. So if you have him, she's not really necessary. Unless in rare cases where you need her and him both at the same team or in different teams, Yelan is not really that necessary. But if you want her, then you can also get her for just the good Hydro application. She's going to be doing very well on her job. Finally, I think the biggest confusion is going to be for Nahida and Lauma. Obviously, they're both good for a Dendro / Hyper Bloom team, but I also think it's pretty clear around them. It's not as close as it seems. If you don't have Nahida, I'd definitely say just go get Nahida. That's for sure. I think Nahida is the foundation of Dendro teams in general, and even a lot of good Lauma teams that she can upgrade are going to be built around Nahida. So if you want to get into the Dendro meta, the Bloom, Hyper Bloom version, whatever, Nahida is going to be a necessary character to get in my opinion. And even her constellations are going to be a huge upgrade. So if you don't have Nahida, I definitely recommend getting Nahida first. She's going to be the foundation you're going to be building your Dendro teams around. And then after that, if you have Nahida and you'd want to upgrade your Hyper Bloom and Bloom teams in general, then in that case you can get Lauma. But if you don't have Nahida, then definitely you shouldn't get Lauma. Go for Nahida first, build your Dendro teams, and then you can upgrade them with Lauma. Lauma is more of an upgrade to Nahida's teams. So just to repeat, if you need the main DPS, go for Flins. If you want to and you need a Hydro off-field applicator, then go for Yelan. If you want to go into Hyper Bloom and Bloom teams or Dendro teams in general, then get Nahida first and then Lauma. But yeah, tell me what you guys are getting in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.